students, once again I am here to discuss you the second lecture regarding the anti-diabetic agents. In our previous lecture, we have seen that what is diabetes, what are the different types of the diabetes and how the diabetes takes place, and what are the various complications associated with the diabetes mellitus, that is microvascular, macrovascular, and what approaches can be used for the treatment of the diabetes. I have also told you that we can go for exogenous insulin. We can use exogenous insulin to treat both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. So, in this lecture, I will discuss about the insulin and its preparation. So, let me start. So, as far as the anti-diabetic agents are concerned, they can be categorized into major categories. First is parenteral and the second is the oral hypoglycemic agents. Parenteral agents include insulin and its preparation. Oral hypoglycemic agents are classified into various categories. So, that oral hypoglycemic agents we will see in the next lecture. So, right now I am discussing the insulin. Insulin plays a central role in the regulation of the metabolism. Now, this is very crucial word, that central role in the regulation of the human metabolism. If you are able to recall my first lecture, in that I use a word, that is it is metabolic disorder. So, insulin is here very critical in the regulation of the human metabolism. I have also told you that it is secreted by the beta cells in the isolate of the Langerhans. So, where the insulin is synthesized? Insulin is synthesized in the beta cells of the Langerhans. Here I am trying to explain you the synthesis of insulin inside our body, better we can say biosynthesis. Insulin is synthesized in the beta cells as a single peptide pre-pro insulin. So, let me explain it here. Pro insulin. How many amino acids are there? 110 amino acid. It is converted into the pre-insulin. Now, during the conversion of this pre-pro insulin into the pre-insulin, 24 amino acids are removed. So, originally there were 110 amino acids. Now, 24 amino acids are removed and pre-pro insulin is converted into the pre-insulin. Furthermore, this pre-insulin is undergo proteolysis. How? By splitting off the connecting C peptide, and during this proteolysis 35 amino acids are again removed. So, there is a total deficit of 24 amino acids and the 35 amino acids from the initial 110 amino acids. So, two steps are involved here. First is the conversion of pre-pro insulin into the pre-insulin, and pre-insulin is converted into the insulin, and along with the C peptide however is split out, but it is insulin is secreted along with the C peptide in our blood stream from the beta cells of Langerhans. Now, let me ask you the question, how many amino acids are there in the insulin? So, we can calculate it from here. Initially, how many amino acids are there? 110. It loses 24 and further it loses 35. So, how many amino acids are remaining there? 51. So, we are listening it from our childhood that insulin contains 51 amino acids. So, here is the answer how it contains 51 amino acids. It is very clear from its synthesis in beta cells that it is being synthesized from pre-proinsulin getting converted into the proinsulin and further after perotolysis it is getting converted into the insulin. So, this is how the insulin is synthesized inside our body. Now, let me explain the structure of the insulin. We are again this listening it from childhood or 10th or 12th that insulin contains 2 chains. Okay. How many amino acids first of all it contain? It contain 51 amino acids and 2 polypeptide chains. Apart from 2 polypeptide chains, it also contain the C peptide. So, C peptide as we told it contain 35 amino acids. So, this chain A and chain B contain 51 amino acid. Out of these 51 amino acids, 21 amino acids are present in chain A and 30 amino acids are present in the chain B. Now, let me explain you about the connectivity of these 2 chains. These 2 chains are connected through the disulfide bond. Here is the question, which amino acid is being involved in this dipeptide linkage or disulfide bond? The amino acid that is taking part is the cysteine, because cysteine is the sulfur containing amino acids. So, let me tell you the which amino acid. There is 2 types of bonding between these 2 chains. One is inter chain and another is the intra. You can see here this is intra and this is interconnecting and this is again interconnecting. So, this is 7th 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and the 7th. This amino acid is the 7th. 7th amino acid of one chain is getting connected with the again 7th amino acid of the another chain. Similarly, this 20th amino acid is getting connected with the 19th amino acid. This is 19th amino acid. So, 20th amino acid of one chain is getting connected with the 90th amino acid of the another chain. So, this is the structure of the insulin. So, till now I have told you that how insulin is synthesized in our body and how insulin looks like, that is what is the structure of the insulin. Now, in this slide I am focusing on the actions of insulin. So, my dear students, try to understand the processes that are getting involved here. So, actions of insulin can be summed up in 4 types. The first one is glucose transport across cell membrane. Insulin facilitate glucose transport across the cell membrane. The second, it enhances intracellular glucose utilization. Here your answers are hidden inside these words. So, what I am saying that facilitate glucose transport across the cell membrane, enhance intracellular glucose utilization, inhibit gluconeogenesis. You must have listened about this gluconeogenesis in your biochemistry subject. It again inhibit lipolysis in the adipose tissue. So, these are the 4 major functions that are functions or actions that are performed by the insulin. So, now let me explain these one by one. what does it means, how does it is affected by the insulin. So, I am talking about the glucose transport across the cell membrane. If we talk about the cell membrane, we can divide them in skeletal cell and the fat cells. So, glucose travel inside these cells with the help of the insulin. Insulin help in the transportation of the glucose inside the skeletal cell and the fat cell. So, they are highly sensitive. These cells are highly sensitive. They are highly dependent on the insulin for the supply of the glucose. But if we see on the some cells, some more types of cell, say for example, RBC, WBC and liver cells. Entry here we can include again one more case, that cells that are present in the brain. So, the cells that are present RBC, WBC, liver cell and the brain cell, they are less sensitive, means they are, we can say they are independent on the insulin for the requirement of the glucose. So, glucose can enter inside this cell without the requirement of the insulin. So, we need more and more insulin to get glucose inside the skeletal and the fat cell, but RBC, WBC, brain cell and liver cells are less dependent on the insulin for the requirement of the glucose. Now, there is a one word I am putting in front of you, that is exercise, related to the muscle cell. Now, why I put this word here? It is having meaning. Muscular activity increases the entry of the glucose. Please listen my words. Exercise, that is we are calling the physical exercise, increases the muscular activity and it increases the entry of the glucose, means it induces the entry of the glucose in the muscle cell without the need of insulin. Muscular activity or exercise induces the entry of the glucose in the muscle cells without utilizing that much amount of the insulin. So, we can say that exercise or muscular activity are, here I am quoting one wording, that are insulin sparing. So, we do not require that much insulin. So, if we do keep on doing exercises, so this is again told that to control the diabetes one should keep on doing the regular physical exercise. So, to reduce the dependency of the insulin. Now, let me tell about the enhanced intracellular glucose utilization. If we talk about the glucose utilization, glucose is converted into glucose 6-phosphate. This is a very common reaction of the biochemistry. Glucose is converted into the glucose 6-phosphate and this is called phosphorylation. What we are call it? It is called known as phosphorylation. And the enzyme involved in this phosphorylation is glucokinase. The enzyme that is playing a critical role is glucokinase. So, glucokinase brings about this phosphorylation. Now, what insulin is doing here? What is the role of insulin? Insulin influence or induces the action of the glucokinase. Means the more the insulin, more the glucokinase will be active and more the utilization of the glucose. So, level of the glucose is maintained with the help of insulin by converting it into the glucose 6-phosphate. Now, second, here I have told you one activity that glucose is converted into the glucose 6 phosphate. Second, intracellular glucose utilization is associated with it glycogen. If excess amount of glucose is present in our blood, it is getting converted into the glycogen. So, insulin facilitates conversion of glucose into the glycogen, and it is called glycogenesis. It is called glycogenesis, and this is being carried out by glycogen synthetase. It is carried out by the glycogen synthetase. So, glycogen synthetase facilitate the conversion of glucose into the glycogen, and insulin simply induces this reaction. So, insulin enhance the intracellular glucose utilization. Third, gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis, this word you must have listened in your biochemistry. So, gluconeogenesis is the synthesis of glucose from the non-carbohydrate source. So, non-carbohydrate source are like protein, fat, they are getting converted into the glucose. So, thus enhancing the glucose load of our body. So, insulin inhibit gluconeogenesis, thus maintaining the level of the glucose in our blood. Now, this is one more point here I am asking to this is lipolysis. Lipolysis means the breakdown of the lipids, breakdown of the lipid in the adipose tissue. In diabetes, what happens basically? Let me check, I am having the black side. Okay, let me explain here. Lipolysis, breakdown of the lipid. In diabetic person, what happens? This fat or lipid is break down, and what is the end product? End product is the FFA, that is free fatty acids. Now, these free fatty acids are converted into the ketone bodies. I have told you earlier that one characteristic of the hyperglycemia, or sorry, the characteristic of the diabetes mellitus is the ketonemia. If you are able to connecting that part there only to ketonemia. Ketonemia is the excess of the ketone bodies in blood or urine. So, ketone bodies are obtained from the free fatty acids, and from where we are getting free fatty acid? Free fatty acid we are getting from the breakdown of the lipid. Now, what is insulin is doing? What is the role of insulin here? Insulin simply inhibiting this conversion. Insulin is inhibiting this conversion. So, now let me sum up all these actions of the insulin. Insulin is facilitating glucose transport across the cell membrane. It enhances intracellular glucose utilization, and it inhibit gluconeogenesis, and it inhibit lipolysis in the adipose tissues. So, by these four actions, insulin is maintaining the level of the glucose in our blood. Now, let me sum up all these hypoglycemic actions of the insulin. All actions that just now we have discussed, all are associated with the hypoglycemic action of the insulin. They are taking place in the liver, muscle and the adipose tissue. So, in liver, just read them, it increases glucose uptake and glycogen synthesis. Means if more and more glucose will be uptake and glycogen synthesis, it control the level of the glucose. Inhibit glycosenolysis, means conversion of glucose into the glycogen into the glucose, it inhibit, and glucose output को भी कम करता है, it inhibits the glucose output. It inhibit gluconeogenesis, means conversion of non carbohydrate source into the glucose, for example proteins, pyruvate, free fatty acids and the glycerol. So, all these actions are hypoglycemic. Similarly, in muscles, it increases the glucose uptake and utilization and inhibit proteolysis and release of amino acids and pyruvate lactate into the blood. So, in muscles, it is again doing good activity. So, here please keep my words, focus on more and more exercise and get away the probability of the diabetes from yourselves. In adipose tissue, it increases the glucose uptake and storage as a fat and glycogen, inhibits lipolysis and release of free fatty acids and the glycerol. So, all these are the actions that are associated with the insulin, all these actions are more or hypoglycemic. Now, let me explain about the mechanism of action of the insulin, how this insulin act. So, this insulin act on a specific receptor located on the cell membrane of practically every cell. So, most of the cells of our body has the receptor that are sensitive to the insulin, but here the point to remember is that the density of these receptors depend on the cell type, means liver and the fat cells are very rich. The insulin receptors are more and more in numbers in the liver and the fat cells. Now, let me try to draw the diagram. However, I am not a very good artist, but I will try to explain it with the help of a diagram. See, this is a rough diagram of the insulin receptor. It has two subunits and the upper subunit is called alpha and the lower subunit is called the beta. The alpha subunit carry the insulin binding site. So, this is the insulin binding site. So, let me change the color of the pen so that I can represent you this in a better way. Okay. Now, suppose this is the insulin. Receptor I have represented by the red color, insulin I am representing with the blue color. Now, let me come back with the red color. So, again to focus here is that insulin receptor has two parts, alpha and the beta part. Insulin binding site is available at the alpha subunit and beta subunit also have the T, tyrosine kinase. What I am saying? Tyrosine kinase. So, as soon as this insulin bind over this binding site, it induces the aggregation, means it's brought about some changes inside this receptor, that means internalization of the receptor along with the bound insulin molecules. And due to these internal changes, please remember these words, due to these internal changes, the tyrosinase activity of the beta subunit increases. And what happens as a result? As a result, stimulation or the inhibition of the enzyme involved in the rapid metabolic action of the insulin. So, once the tyrosine is activate, once the tyrosine kinase is activate, that it control the metabolic actions of the insulin. So, this how the insulin acts in our body. Now, let me tell you the insulin, basic about the insulin. Insulin basically was discovered in year 1921. So, can you tell me who discovered insulin? Okay. Banting, you must have listened this name, Banting and the Best discovered the insulin in 1921, and insulin for clinical use is available since 1925. Initially, it was extracted from the beef, cow and pork, pig. So, it was, if it was extracted from beef or cow, it was considered as the bovine insulin, and if it is extracted from the pork, it is known as the porcine insulin. So, until 1980s, this animal insulin was only the treatment for the insulin dependent diabetes. In early 1980s, technology became available to produce human insulin synthetically. In 1980s, synthetic human insulin were also available. Later on, insulin analogues are also available. So, if we see the history of insulin, so initially animal insulin were used, which were replaced by synthetic human insulin and which were replaced by the insulin analog, but still all the three forms are in use, that is in animal insulin, insulin analogs and the synthetic human insulin. So, now we tell some more about, let have a look over the structure of the all the three insulin, human insulin, pork insulin and the bovine insulin. Molecular formula for porcine insulin is 256 carbon, 254 carbons, 381 hydrogen, 377 hydrogen, 65 nitrogen, nitrogen are same in both the cases. Oxygens are differ 76 and 75, sulfur is 6 and 6. And there is a little change in molecular weight, it is 5777, 5733. So, there is the overall difference of the 44 units in the molecular weight of the insulin. Now, if we saw the anatomy or the structure of the insulin, so as I have told you earlier that insulin composed of the two chains, A chain and the B chain. Now, A chain, if we see the 8th amino acid of chain A, 10th amino acid of chain A. So, 8th amino acid of the chain A contain threonine in both the human and the pork, and it is alanine in case of the bovine insulin. But if we see on the 10th amino acid, it is isoleucine in human, pork it again isoleucine and it is valine in the bovine. In B chain, 30th amino acid is considered, it is threonine in human, alanine in pork and alanine in the alanine. So, my dear students, now you are supposed to tell me which form of insulin is more similar to the human insulin. It can be easily answered that pork insulin is more homologous to human insulin than the beef insulin. So, that is why porcine insulin was used more and more for the treatment of the diabetes, insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. Now, if we see the types of the insulin preparations, so rapid acting insulin preparations, short acting insulin preparations, intermediate acting insulin preparations and the long acting insulin preparations. So, insulin preparations can be classified into rapid acting insulin preparations, short acting insulin preparations, intermediate acting insulin preparations and the long acting insulin preparations. So, in next slide I am summing all the preparations that are available. So, these are rapid acting insulin preparations, short acting insulin preparations, intermediate acting insulin preparations and the long acting insulin preparations. So, you can see the difference between their own appearance, clear, 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 cloudy, clear. You can see their onset of action, you can see the peak hours and the duration of action. So, all the factors, all the parameters are variable depending on the mode of action, that rapid acting, short acting, intermediate acting and long acting. So, insulin lisopro, insulin aspart, insulin glulicin, soluble insulin, insulin zinc suspension, that is more in use. Neutral protamine had NPH, it is again in more in use. Isophane insulin, insulin galargine and the insulin ketamine. So, these are the some of the insulin preparations that are available in the market for the treatment, and this is the summary of the insulin analogs: lispro, aspart, glulicin, galargine, ditamine, Humalog, Novolog, Apirida. These are the trade names, and change, if we compare the chain A, we can see what are the changes available in the chain A, what are the changes available in the chain B. And let us say the usage of insulin in the diabetes. The purpose of the therapy is the diabetes mellitus is to restore metabolism to the normal. So, it is very clear cut. We want to fulfill the deficit of the insulin by using the insulin injections, insulin formulations, avoid symptoms due to the hyperglycemia and glucosuria, prevent short term complications, that is infection, acidosis and the long term complications, cardiovascular, retinal and neurological. So, by the use of insulin we can make our life easy, we can live like a normal. So, my dear students, I think this is sufficient to discuss about this insulin. Now, in next lecture we will discuss about the oral hypoglycemics, and our oral hypoglycemics will be divided in two parts: oral hypoglycemic part 1, oral hypoglycemic part 2. In part 1 we will discuss about the sulfonylureas, and the remaining classes of the oral hypoglycemics we will discuss in the next lecture. So, thank you students.